Okay, so we've got two huge forces just barreling towards each other. On one side, you have the modern FBI with some seriously futuristic power. And on the other, the incredibly high-stakes, super tense world of election security. We're going to dive into how a wild million-dollar manhunt and DNA tech that's solving murders from 60 years ago connects to this really big question. Who do we actually trust to guard our democracy? Especially now, with the 2026 election map getting redrawn right under our noses.
So this number, it's really at the heart of everything we're talking about today. $1 million. And you gotta understand, this isn't just a number. It's a huge shift in FBI's strategy. In fact, it's the key that unlocked the fastest capture in the entire history of the Bureau's most wanted list. So yeah, it's not just a reward, it's a weapon.
All right, so first up, $1 million manhunt. To really get a handle on just how powerful the FBI is today, you have to start with this story. I mean, it perfectly shows you the sheer speed and global reach we're talking about with federal law enforcement these days. So check this out. On March 10th, 2026, the FBI decides to quadruple the standard reward for its most wanted fugitives, from 250 grand all the way up to $1 million. So you might be asking, why the huge jump? Well, think about it. We live in a world where transnational criminals can just vanish. They can disappear into cartel-controlled areas or hide out in countries that won't extradite them. This new policy, it's designed to make someone, somewhere, talk. It's a massive, massive financial incentive to get people to cooperate, and not just here, but all over the world.
And you know what? It worked. And it worked faster than anybody could have possibly imagined. Let me introduce you to Samuel Ramirez Jr. On the morning of March 10th, he gets added to the most wanted list for a really brutal double murder. Okay, so get this. Just 1 hour and 13 minutes later, he was in custody in Culiacan, Mexico. 1 hour. That absolutely shattered a record that had been standing since 1969. We're talking 73 minutes from most wanted to in cuffs. That's less time than it takes to watch an episode of a crime show on TV. And this was a real-life international manhunt. Just incredible.
Of course, the administration jumped right on this. They wanted to frame it as way more than just a tactical win. Attorney General Pamela Bondi put out a statement that basically positioned this whole thing as proof of a new, much more aggressive approach to law enforcement. It was a clear signal, right? The priority isn't just about putting names on a list anymore, it's about grabbing these guys with what they're calling unprecedented urgency.
Okay, cracking unsolvable cases. Now this new level of effectiveness isn't just for catching fugitives who are on the run right now. The FBI and its partners are using some truly incredible new technology to reach back in time. They're closing cold cases that have haunted families for decades, sometimes for generations. So how are they doing this? The key is this revolutionary tool called forensic genetic genealogy. Now here's how it works. In the old days, you needed a direct DNA match from a suspect, right? Not anymore. Now, labs like Authorized can take a teeny tiny degraded sample from a crime scene, we're talking decades old, and use it to find, say, a suspect's third cousin who uploaded their DNA to a public genealogy website a few years ago. And from there, they literally build a family tree that leads them right to the killer's doorstep. It's less like old school forensics and more like, I don't know, reverse engineering a human life. It's wild.
And the results? They are absolutely stunning. I mean, look at this. A murder from 1964 solved from a DNA sample so small you literally can't see it with the naked eye. Or how about this one? A man who was the prime suspect in his wife's 1974 murder for 52 years is finally exonerated. And then there's a 1985 cold case where an FBI partnership identified the killer even though he was already dead. This technology isn't just solving crimes, it's rewriting history and, maybe most importantly, it's delivering justice that is so long overdue.
So now we're going to talk about the ghosts of COINTELPRO. Because up to this point, we've painted this picture of a stunningly effective, technologically amazing FBI, right? But, and this is a big but, to really understand the challenges the Bureau faces in 2026, we have to look at the other side of the coin. We have to talk about the agency's past, a past that is, frankly, much darker and way more complicated.
Yeah, let's talk about COINTELPRO. You have to understand this wasn't some rogue operation or a few bad apples. No. This was an official, 15-year-long counterintelligence program, and its mission, stated in their own internal documents, was to undermine American political groups that the FBI decided were subversive. The key words you need to remember are covert and, as we found out later from congressional investigations, illegal.
I mean, just look at the sheer scope of who they targeted. this program wasn't just focused on one ideology. The FBI was going after civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., the Black Panther Party, anti-Vietnam War organizers, even feminist organizations. And then, at the same time, they were also targeting white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan. So what does that tell you? It shows an agency that was casting this incredibly wide net, basically targeting any group that dared to challenge the political status quo, no matter where they were on the spectrum.
And here's maybe the most chilling part of all, and this is taken directly from FBI documents. The goal wasn't just to watch these groups. The goal was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize them. Think about that word, neutralize. This wasn't about investigating actual crimes. It was about actively trying to destroy political movements. They used psychological warfare, they planted fake stories in the media, they used constant harassment. This is the reason why there's such a deep and persistent skepticism of federal power that is absolutely still with us today.
Which brings us right to the 2026 collision course. This is really the central conflict of our entire story. This is the moment where those two narratives we've been talking about, the hyper-competent, high-tech FBI of 2026 and the ghost of COINTELPRO, they just smash into each other head-on. And where does this collision happen? Right in the middle of the fierce debate over election security and today's newly drawn, highly contentious political maps. So here's the thing. Both of these realities are true at the exact same time. On one hand, the FBI has this advanced cyber strategy to protect our elections. But on the other hand, a lot of the public remembers the ugly legacy of COINTELPRO. On one hand, the Bureau is targeting dangerous transnational criminal organizations. But on the other, people have this deep-seated fear of federal overreach. They're using massive DNA databases to solve horrible crimes, but there's that long, dark history of domestic spying. This right here, this fundamental tension, is what defines the FBI's role in 2026. Look, there's no question that since 2016, the federal government's role in election security has gotten way bigger. But now, every single action is seen through that dual lens we just talked about. Take something like the raid to seize 2020 election materials in Fulton County, Georgia. Now, in a state that's ground zero for these intense redistricting battles, you have to ask yourself, is a raid like that a necessary security measure to protect democracy? Or is it a sign of federal overreach? Does it echo that past where the government tried to put its thumb on the political scale? That's the debate. So if you look at the government's own list of primary national security threats, one group really jumps out: transnational criminal organizations, or TCOs. Now, when we hear that, we usually think of things like drug trafficking, right? But the government now sees them as a systemic threat to the country. The real fear is that these groups could use their massive resources to launch sophisticated disinformation campaigns or even direct cyber attacks on voter infrastructure. We're talking about a direct threat to the integrity of our elections, especially in those crucial swing districts.
And this is the official playbook for how to fight back. It's the 2026 National Cyber Strategy. It's comprehensive, it's modern, it's a solid defense plan. But here's the real analyst's take on it. The big question isn't whether the government has the tools to protect elections. It absolutely does. The real question is whether the public, especially folks living in those newly drawn super competitive districts, actually trust the government to use those powerful tools without picking a side. And so, all of this leaves us with one final, absolutely critical question. The FBI of today is without a doubt more powerful and more effective than it has ever been. But as it steps deeper and deeper into the politically supercharged arena of election security, navigating a brand new electoral map, can it actually do its job without waking up those ghosts of its past? Can it operate without reawakening all those very real, very potent fears born from its own history? That, right there, is the incredibly fine tightrope it has to walk.